Wednesday. How are you guys doing? Hope you're having a good summer. Thanks for letting us take a couple weeks off. I am Beverly Hosford. This is Erin Nitschke, and we're here with episode 54 of NFPT Live. NFPT is the National Federation of Professional Trainers. We are a personal training certification continuing education company and family of trainers all around the country. I am in, where am I? Montana.
I was like, Bozeman.
And Erin over here is in Wyoming. We'd love to know where you are. And if you know anyone that likes to talk about good posture or could use better posture or whatever, it might be kind of awkward to tag those people. But go ahead and invite your friends to come and join us on the show. I'm going to send a quick Twitter message out. I have my stupid little joke here. Good posture isn't always so straightforward. So, it's not. I mean, I feel like posture is way over cued. It's given so much attention. It's made so much more complicated than it needs to be. And so we're going to talk a little bit about where the mindset is right now for Erin and I as far as posture goes. How are you today, Erin? Getting school started, you said?
Yeah, classes start today for one of the schools, and students are already panicking. So it's gonna be a crazy day, but that's okay. I live to teach, so it's fine. But
sweet. Let me see. Somebody said something about a course that they took.
Oh.
Anyway, I was just seeing if anyone was saying hello to us. So we're just gonna roll forward, me and you. And I wanted to start off with something I saw this morning. I saw on Madison Kleckler's Facebook page. She's a trainer out in Alabama who works a lot with mamas. And she was saying how more than anything, when it comes to cueing posture, she doesn't really like to tell people what they're doing wrong. She just likes to cue them on hey, let's instead of saying, hey, you're doing this wrong, let's do this instead. She doesn't like to do that whole point it out, show you everything that's wrong, or at least that's what I got from her post. Now I'm elaborating, but I can imagine what she's saying, where it's traditionally with a posture assessment, you stand there and you're like, okay, your right scapula is higher than your left and your right hip is kind of forward, and I'm going to write it all on this piece of paper and I'm going to put it in your record forever. But maybe we don't need to tell the client every little thing that's wrong with them. Instead, we can just say, hey, I wonder what would happen if you envisioned your head coming closer to the ceiling, or what would happen if I asked you to take a deep breath in, lift your shoulders up, and then drop them. Mm-hmm. And then just try to, help correct some things without too much telling them what's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I think keeping the message positive is important. And like anything with training, it's really suggestions versus, you're doing X, Y, and Z incorrectly. Can you pull your right hip back for me? And teaching them the difference in how something like that might feel if they just slightly adjust their mechanics a little bit. I see a lot of times in movements like the plank, trying to just say, keep a nice long line from head to toe versus you're screwing up here and there. And just teaching them to be a little bit more aware of how the proper form should feel and where their body alignment should be versus, kind of nitpicking all throughout and making the message very negative.
Yeah. And it's not to say that you can't be honest with people or say, I'm seeing this or that. But I think when you're going through that initial assessment and you're looking at because again, traditionally it's you're looking for maybe one shoulder is higher than the other, or one shoulder is more forward than the other, or the head seems off to the side, or the head seems forward, or, there's all these different assessments that you can do. And I just don't, there's definitely a lot of different ways to approach it. Just with a lot of the articles you've been writing lately, Erin, about motivational interviewing, and just the way that we use our language is so important, because it can be very nerve-wracking to be getting assessed and looked at. And, I don't even really recommend doing a full posture assessment all at once with someone, because first of all, it takes up a lot of time. It doesn't leave very much time for actually, integrating. Plus posture changes day to day. And so I think if you're going to do a posture assessment, you can just kind of take note of a person, just maybe their shoulders one day, maybe their hips another day, and just keep it real simple and focus on just a certain region of the body. I think we've really made it overcomplicated and very clinical, and in some places in the industry.
Yeah, and I like the quiet observation of postural assessments when I'm watching somebody, versus I notice if you sometimes do it a little bit more formally, which is perfectly fine, then everyone becomes hyper aware of their posture, and it's not a natural thing for them. So it's more difficult. It's kind of like when you are having them keep a food log, and then all of a sudden the diet cleans up because they know someone's going to be assessing it. They know somebody's going to be scrutinizing it with a fine-tooth comb. So I like those quiet observations of just watching them, like how they stand or how they're sitting, or just even asking them, like if I'm looking at their workstation, for example, and I ask them, just show me how you would normally sit, and I look at like where their knees are, and if their head is kind of down because their screen is low, that type of thing, and just ask them, do you often feel, how do you feel throughout the workday? Do you feel any areas of discomfort? And just asking them, where do you feel that? It's the same thing when you're trying to evaluate those imbalances or the weaknesses, is asking them, where do you feel X, Y, and Z?
I like that approach, because
giving them suggestions.
Yeah, and even just bringing it back to what we started with, and bringing it into body awareness, of course, always.
Yeah.
Just thinking about, like, okay, you see someone sitting in their, I like that idea, like, hey, sit at your desk and show me like how you would sit. And then instead of being like, well, you're leaning forward and your feet aren't on the floor, say, hey, I want you to try something. I want you to just like tune in and see how you feel. Like, how does your spine feel right now? Do you have any discomfort? And now what I want you to do is imagine, my always favorite is imagine a tennis ball above your head and just try to touch it with your head. That's like always my favorite posture cue, because it lets someone get into their own natural position, and then say, now how do you feel? And just let them feel it, because as we're learning more and more in even the behavior change arena, in exercise science, we're learning that feelings are much more resonant with people when you bring feelings and emotions into it. So like, how does that feel in your body versus, hey, this is wrong, that is right. And then they've got to like take notes, like, I need to keep my chest up and I need to bring my shoulders back. And it's like, how about just tuning in and how do I feel? And that doesn't feel so good. So now what can I do to make myself feel better? And that's where the trainer can come in and say, here are some ideas on how to feel better. I have some ideas. Yeah,
exactly. And I really like taking lessons from how they cue posture in yoga. It's very positive, and they use very visual images. It's kind of like the tennis ball, or, imagine pressing down through your heels, or feeling the contact between like your big toe and your pinky toe, or something like that. And just cueing it that way. So it gives your clients something to really grab onto, and note that that's how a movement should feel. Or I feel good in this particular posture, or when I, make sure that I press down through the palms of my hands, or something like that. I enjoy the way that yoga instructors cue for posture and cue for different poses. Trainers can very well take a lesson from that, and use that kind of gentle verbiage and that guidance to give those suggestions. Like, I want you to try imagining X, and it's amazing that people can connect to that easier than, move your scapulas down. Like, that's, it makes sense to us, but to a client, when you want them to carry these lessons on throughout their day, you have to help develop that sense of awareness for them. And by connecting it with how they feel, taking an inventory of, okay, where am I uncomfortable right now? Why? Yeah. Having them adjust from there.
Yeah, having those cues can be helpful, like putting your shoulder blades in your back pockets, or those are great. Those are great starting points. But I definitely contend that posture changes from day to day, and what's comfortable one day may not be comfortable the next day. It all depends. Like, did you have an intense workout yesterday? How did you sleep last night?
Yeah.
How hydrated are you? So I always ask people to close their eyes, and where's their tension in your body? If there's tension in your neck, try moving your neck forward and back. Try moving it side to side, and see if you can find a place where your neck feels less tension. And then same thing with the spine, same thing with the hips. And that's how I've started out a lot of my corrective exercise and anatomy trainings, is even with the trainers. I just say, close your eyes and let's go through each joint. Just like those guided relaxation exercises where you go through each muscle and have it relax. It's like the same thing. Just check in with each joint and then eventually be able to do it quicker and quicker. And I used to do that with clients sometimes at the end of a session or even at the beginning, just to like move them from the space they were just in their life to this space. Like, let's just tune in, and maybe you don't have to go through every joint in the body, but you can go through just a couple of the joints. And every session you can go through a couple joints. Like, close your eyes and I want you to just roll your shoulders around and find a spot for your shoulders that they feel really comfortable. And of course, this is going to work better for some people than others. Like, people who are more intuitive and sensing are going to connect with it more. And then the more analytical people are going to need the cue, like the cue. And I contend there's got to be a few people out there that like to know that their scapula are called scapula.
Right. Totally. I absolutely think that.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah. No, I've had a wide range of clients who pretty much just don't want the information. They just want me to teach them how to do X. They don't really want to connect with the Y or what it means. I do it anyway because I think it's important. But there are those that very much want to understand, and they're engaging in these exercises or working with a trainer because it's more about a sense of awareness for them than it is anything else. So I think you have to understand your clients on that level. And it's the same thing that we always say is know your individual clients as people, not just as a client or a paycheck for you. You have to get to know them and what resonates with them, because every personality is going to connect with something different.
Yeah, totally. There's a whole wide range of people out there. So, and I think that especially if you want to work with high performance athletes, I've noticed they, more than anyone, they want to know what muscle are they supposed to be engaging. And even when I teach at the massage therapy school and I teach the massage therapists how to have better posture through their massage practice, I always work with the muscles with them. I'm like, this is where your rhomboid attaches. I want you to recruit your rhomboid to help bring your shoulder blade back when you're doing this stroke with your client. And they really like that. So you just need to know what audience you're working with or what type of person you're working with. And I'm going to toss Hannah's blog up here because I like her approach, prevention, posture prevention. And she really just talks about what we were saying, like cueing neutral spine, teaching a hip hinge. We talked about hip hinge on the show, I think a couple weeks ago, back in July. And she just, really takes that teaching standpoint, like, again, not pointing out to people what's wrong, just teaching them how to maybe find a better position.
Right. And what's comfortable to them, and taking into account their individual needs and desires.
Yeah, which I like the word position a lot better than posture. Yeah. Posture is, we all know what it means, but I think it's just become this thing of like, put your shoulders back and sit up tall. And, I think that the best posture position comes when you can breathe well, for me anyway. Like, I've noticed the last couple of weeks after traveling, I think I've just been hunching forward a lot more. Mm-hmm. And just because I was chasing my toddler around on my vacation. And I think that, and I noticed that like I can't breathe as well when I'm hunched forward. So it's like, where can you put your rib cage so that your lungs can expand? And I think they do work on that a lot in yoga, like you were saying, Erin. So
open the rib cage. Yeah, exactly.
First things first, get yourself breathing better. Like, where can you put your body so you can take a better breath? Because if we can have more oxygen, then everyone's gonna be happier.
Yeah. And I noticed too that just listening to you talk about chasing your toddler, I notice a lot with new moms, like we tend to have typewriter hips because we always have one hip cocked out and we have a kid right here. And we become the masters of one-handed tasks. I mean, that would normally require two or, a couple sets of hands. So for moms, I think you have to take into consideration that too, like what they do throughout the day. That would explain why maybe there's some tightness on one side, or why they tend to like move their typewriter, their hips, when maybe they're doing a lateral bend, when the movement should come from the torso, not the hips. Like, you don't want to kick the hips out, but they're so used to doing that because you got a kid on one hip.
Yeah. Educating people on that, try to be as balanced as possible, right to left side, I think is super valuable. And I was even just thinking, again, since you're talking about toddlers, I was trying to get my workout in yesterday morning, and my toddler was having trouble with me. He wanted me to pick him up while I did my squats. And I'm like, I'm just not in that kind of mood today to do 26 extra pounds while I squat. So I
I'm good.
pulled out a bunch of colored scarves that we have, and I started like throwing them up in the air while I was doing my squats, and then he was chasing the scarves around, and then like I just noticed like while I was doing that, I wasn't so focused on like my proper squat form. I was just like kind of moving my body up and down and like getting my heart rate up. And sometimes I feel like good posture can just be letting it go, like just let it go, let your body flow. Don't be so rigid. Don't be so like, tight, clenched teeth. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of an analogy there. Yeah.
Right. Definitely. No, that's creative. I have to do some things like that with Olivia too.
Get to work.
For her, it's resistance bands. She likes my bands and she likes my strength slides. So I often will have to do something like that when I'm trying to get through an interval or something.
Yeah, and I got to bring up Madison again. You got to check out her Facebook page, Madison Kleckler. I should put her name up here. I'll put it in the comments. She puts up videos of herself working out with her kids, and she does like the fast forward to show you, and she's like, here's what it was like to work out today, and like the kid is climbing on her back while she's planking, and she's got to move one of them out of the way, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, so
yeah, it's definitely a challenge.
She inspires me. Yeah, you inspire me too. The only reason I worked out yesterday morning is because you were working out. I was like, I gotta work out. I was like,
oh yeah, because I boxed you while I was warming up.
Yeah. You left me a message. You're like, I'm warming up. And I'm like, well, I'm sitting on my butt right now. I need to get working out. So
you can't move it.
Anyway, we're getting off topic. I think that's all we wanted to talk about today.
Yeah, it's just creating that sense of awareness. And I think as personal trainers, what's important is for you as the professional to create your own sense of awareness so that you can then cue your clients appropriately and really just have that conversation with them. You have to be grounded in your own awareness to be able to help someone else become that self-aware. So practicing those techniques on your own and checking in with yourself throughout the day and trying to figure out like what things connect with you and how you can adjust your own position and then in turn teach that to your clients. So it really comes down to just creating that body awareness like anything else, and knowing that proper posture affects the stability, basically it affects our kinetic chain, which will, if it's off or it's not in sync, is going to affect the way a client trains and their results.
Yeah. So if you were looking for a straightforward answer today, we don't have it for you. We just have a lot of suggestions on philosophy and, how to bring that mindfulness in and ideas. There are a lot of great companies out there that will teach you the head to toe postural assessment. Mm-hmm. Like, I think I went in and taught a workshop one time just to teach how NASM's postural assessment works. And I ended up being like, hey guys, like we can't always follow this protocol. Like sometimes we've got to go beyond it. So that's what this episode's all about. And if you found it helpful, please share it with other training folks or clients or anybody.
Yeah. And if you have ways to, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was just going to say, if you have ways that you do cue posture or interesting ways that you help clients visualize something, share that with us.
Yeah, totally. I see Mandy says good shoes help with good posture. The other thing that helps with good posture is strong feet. Having strong, I have to, especially after spending time with Stacey Lee Krause this summer, presenting with her, I have to say that having feet that are not only strong, but also flexible and reactive to the ground are super important. So you got to train your feet just like you train the rest of your body. And I think we'll end on that note. Hi, Myra. Glad to see you were here with us today. And next week, we're going to do a blog roundup. So basically, if you don't have a lot of time to read blogs and catch up on news, we're going to just kind of scoot you through some of the takeaway points from this summer's blogs, because I know everyone's busy having fun and out there enjoying their vacation. So we're going to do a kind of like a newscast style, like here's the latest. And, and then in September, we've got a 30-day get more client, or no, not 30-day, 3-week get more clients challenge coming. So mark your calendar. We'll be here the next 2 Wednesdays at the same time, and invite your friends and share the show if you found it helpful.
Yes. And have a good week.
Yes. Bye.